Everyone, and welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Leesburg. Our theme this year is Timeless Wisdom, Evolutionary Vision. And our focus for the month of December is Journey of Becoming. The title of our talk today is The Joy of Becoming. I'm sensing a theme here. It will be given by our wonderful spiritual director, Charlene Banks. We are so glad that you took time out of your busy schedule to join us today. We invite you to relax, get comfortable, take that to-do list for now, just push it aside for a little while. It will be there when service is over. But for now, just relax and join us as we open up our sacred service. Please join us as we create our sacred space. We set our intentions of deepening into our awareness and practice of our 5 pillars of spiritual living by lighting this candle in our virtual world. Our first pillar is sacred study, represented by the divine quality of truth. We use this pillar to recognize the importance of an open mind and the power of our minds. The second pillar is affirmative prayer, represented by the divine quality power. This pillar honors the power of prayer in our daily lives. Our third pillar is meditation and the divine quality of peace. This pillar reminds us of the importance of meditation and the peace we feel when we quiet our minds. The fourth pillar is circulation and the divine quality of life. We know that the great law of circulation works in our lives. As we give, so shall we receive. And the fifth pillar is sacred service and the divine quality of love. This pillar affirms our call to be of service to our world as we see through the eyes of love. Let us close our eyes as we bless this sacred space and our time together. As we weave each of these pillars of spiritual living into our service today, may they deepen our own spiritual practices of study, prayer, meditation, circulation, and service, expanding our minds and our hearts to the 5 divine qualities of truth, power, peace, life, and love. We also bless everyone who made our service possible today and everyone in attendance. May the energy of love that is generated here bless everyone abundantly, and so it is. You know, as soon as I see that lit candle in the beginning of that video, I just feel any stress or worry that I'm carrying just vanish. That light comes on, the darkness goes away. Please feel free to add to the chat during the comments any prayer requests or celebrations that you would like us to include later on in the service when we provide our community spiritual mind treatment, which is a form of affirmative prayer. And now I'd like you to join me in a moment of meditation. When I saw the title of the talk today, The Joy of Becoming, I thought, I'm going to pull out one of my favorite meditations. This is one that's going to be very familiar with those of you who have been with us for a while. And if you're new to us, this might be a really nice treat. So just close your eyes, take a deep breath, get comfortable wherever you are. And realize that you are present in everything that you see, everything that you hear, everything that you touch, everything that you taste, and everything that you smell. Nothing is visible without you, without your presence. You create and you bring these things that you see into your life. Look around you. The room that you're in, or picture a room in your house. Maybe it's filled with holiday decorations. Realize that nothing is visible without you, without your care, without your attention. And now repeat after me. Nothing is visible without me. Nothing is visible without me. Those are such powerful words. What we focus on expands. Now, think of all the sounds, especially the sounds of this holiday season. Nothing is heard without you. You create and you bring into your presence the sounds of your life. Just imagine some of those sounds. Are they jingle bells? Are they carols? Are they laughter? Are they friends gathering? Repeat after me. Nothing is heard without me. Nothing is heard without me. Think of all the wonderful things that we can touch, especially at this time. A very soft blanket. Maybe you have a furry friend in your house. Maybe you have a tree that's decorated. Maybe there's some holiday treats. You create and you bring all these tangible things that you can touch into your life. Repeat after me. There is nothing tangible without me. There is nothing tangible without me. Here's a fun one. Think of all the delicious tastes that are associated at this time of year. Yeah, you're allowed to indulge a little. It's the holidays. Nothing has taste without you. You create and you bring all the things that you can taste into your life, into your home. There is nothing that has taste without you. Repeat after me. There is nothing that has taste without me. There is nothing that has taste without me. And here's another good one for the holiday season. I am so enjoying all the smells, the fragrances that the holidays bring. Is it cinnamon? Is it clove? Is it vanilla? Is it pine? There's so many amazing scents. And all those scents that you can think of, that you're surrounded by, you bring them into your life. There is nothing that has fragrance without you. You make those choices. So repeat after me. There is nothing that has fragrance without me. There is nothing that has fragrance without me. As you think back to those sights and those sounds, those things that you can touch, those smells, those tastes, just let your mind go anywhere. Maybe it's somewhere that is in the present. Maybe it's something that's in the past. Maybe it's a future event that you're looking forward to. Realize that you are present in everything that you think. There is no mind, no now without you. There are no thoughts without you. You create and you bring all the thoughts into your world. Take that into your thoughts and repeat after me. There is no thought without me. There is no thought without me. Now go into your heart and picture just loving, loving, loving vibrations just circling and swirling around your heart center. Picture it like just swirls on a candy cane. Just give your heart some love. And just realize that you are present in everything. Nothing can be in your world without your permission, without you opening the door and inviting it in. And repeat after me. Nothing can be without me. Nothing can be without me. So at any time when you find yourself just getting caught up in the stress that the holidays can bring, just take a moment, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, think back to this meditation, and I hope that you are filled with peace. Thank you for joining me on one of my favorite meditations. And now I believe we're going to be delighted by some music by Leah.
Good morning, everyone. This is a song of experiencing spirit through the senses, specifically through the auditory sense, but the principle extends through all of our life being. I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak through me. My hands are wide open, heart is wide open to see what I may be. I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak through me. My hands are wide open, heart is wide open to see what I may be. I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. I'm listening, listening. I am listening, listening. Spirit, speak to me. I'm listening, listening. I am listening, listening. Spirit, speak through me. My hands are wide open, heart is wide open to see what I may be. I'm listening, listening. I am listening, listening. Spirit, speak to me. One more time, sing with me. I'm listening, listening. I am listening in this moment to see hear the voices of all my I'm listening, singing. I'm listening, Spirit. We're all praying into the wind. My hands are wide open, your heart is wide open to see what I believe and be. I'm listening in this moment of silence. I'm listening, Spirit, speak through me.
Wow, Leah, that was amazing. We're all just sending love sprinkles your way. I was so caught up in there. I'm like, wait, I'm supposed to speak? Oh, so good. I'm listening. So that song was so deep, and so it just called in the entire talk that I have for you, because the whole idea is that we have been born with a divine pattern, a divine idea of who we are. Much like the acorn has inside of it the pattern of an entire oak tree. But given the right conditions, right, then that will happen. And so our lives, we're born into our lives with the divine pattern that, whatever you call it, you could call it God, the universe, or the divine had in mind when it thought of us and created us. And then we already have in us everything we need to become the divine idea, the highest idea of who we are. And well, just like an acorn just can't become an oak tree lying there on your wooden deck, we need the right conditions to bring about that which we truly are within ourselves. And a lot of times those conditions may not seem to be palatable. Last week I talked about Eckhart Tolle, who had this angst and this existential dread and just decided, I cannot live with myself anymore. And then he said, wait a second, who is the I and who is the self? One of these is probably false. I need to, maybe I'm identifying with the wrong one. And so that last week we were talking about that every one of us has that voice inside our head, or that stream of consciousness, those words that kind of just float by, and we mistakenly identify with that, thinking that's who we are. And unfortunately, that can bring us down the wrong road. But again, wrong? Who says it's really wrong if at the end of the day you realize, oh, wait a second. Who is the I that cannot live with myself, that chatterbox, busy mind? And whatever brings us back to who we really are, then how wrong is it really, right? So even if we are making decisions that aren't for our highest good, we always say, well, you can use the information, right? At least now you know what you don't want, And then whenever, I've always said this, my sisters and I would laugh. We'd say, well, add that to the list of what you don't want. When some guy did something stupid, we're like, okay, taking notes. Not a cheater. Got it. You just add to the list. It's information. And so as we find that we're moving through our lives, becoming more and more of who we really are, then these kinds of quotes that we hear, these kinds of stories that we hear, start to make sense. So I've got so many examples. Of course, I don't know where to start. I'll just start at the beginning and see where it takes us. The first quote I have for you is from our favorite Richard Rohr, who is a monk or a priest. Anyway, spiritual dude. Elaine, where are you? She'll tell me exactly who he is. Let me go in and share the screen here. Richard Rohr. He says, we all seem to suffer from a tragic case of mistaken identity. Life is a matter of becoming fully and consciously who we already are, but it is a self that we largely do not know. It is as though we are all suffering from a giant case of amnesia. The protagonists in so many fairy tales are already nobles, royal daughters, and sons of the king, or even the gods. But their identity is hidden from them, and the storyline pivots around this discovery. And I know if you're anything like me, you're thinking about, yeah, it's kind of true. Even our most recent mythology, known as Harry Potter, right? Even that. We have Harry Potter. He didn't realize he's as powerful as he is. And it's always so great to see the first book where he's like thrown under the stares of the people who have adopted him. And he's living like Cinderella, another one, where they're just not demonstrating the truth about themselves. And we always root for that guy, that gal. We always root for them because in their heart, they're doing what is right, and it's always some external evil or oppressive power that's keeping them down. And then slowly they come to an awareness of who they really are. It's either they get mad and they accidentally, like with Harry Potter, accidentally make some magic happen. And we're like, yes, right? Yes, he's really powerful. He just didn't know it. And these people who are trying to oppress him, well, they're going to get theirs. And we just love a good story where the protagonist doesn't know who they really are. And isn't that our lives as well? Isn't that kind of what we go through when we feel like you just can't make it, like there's so many external forces that are pushing us down, so many that would seem to want ill for us. And somewhere in that depression, that angst, in that dark night of the soul, there's a spark of light. There's something that just taps on us a little bit. Just tap, tap. Hey, psst, Shar. You know you're stronger than you think. And you know, who's that? Who's that? In the depths of despair, there's something, psst. So, are you listening now? I'm like, what? Yeah, what's going on? And I've always felt it, and I didn't know what it was, but I remember 2 poignant times I was really pregnant and really disappointed in that child's father. Like, he did not step up, and I was pissed, but also knew better than to harbor negative energy because this baby, you don't want to bake him and negative energy. And so I'm laying there in the bed, and I'm like, part of me is despair, and the other part is mad. And I finally just said, okay, I give up. I give up. I've tried everything. I've given him 14 chances when everybody said 10 was good. And I think I had been out of tears, but something said to me, you know you're all right. You know you got this. And I was just like, But it was almost like the point, I don't know if you've ever been there, like the point where you feel like, is this where I just lose it all? But then something rises out of that and says, not today. And it's like, if it was some movie, it would be Indiana Jones coming across the crevasse with some trumpeting. But it was like that. There was a part of me that was like, no, we're not having that. We've got this. And I started to, and I think it's a mama bear thing, I started to know that my son and I were going to be fine. And I did it with a in my neck. And it's so funny how it's a quick switch. Now, I was reading about this quick switch. I don't know if you've been there before. I'm going to assume everybody has. If you're over the age of 20, you've had a moment like this where it seemed like the light just came on. It just flicked right on, and you were like, not doing that anymore. You might have just dropped something that you had been doing habitually for years. For example, I read a story about a guy who was saying his nightly prayers. He and his brother were on some sort of camping trip. They're like 30, and he's doing his nightly prayers. And his brother, who hasn't hung out with his younger brother for a while, looked at his younger brother and was like, you still do that? And those words made the younger brother just say, I'm going to drop it. He just dropped it. Now, the question is not, is it true that in an instant you can change everything? I'm reading William James, American philosopher from the late 1800s. He said that these changes, they're either gradual or they're sudden. But even the sudden changes are not sudden, because if you look back, there has been some subconscious moving toward the enlightened moment, subconsciously a little bit eking toward that moment where you finally just drop it. Whatever's not serving you, you drop it. And it seems like it was just immediate. It seems like somebody said something to you and you just dropped your nightly prayer. No. What probably happened was, over the years, a little bit of drop in a, like one drop of clean water in a cup of dirty water eventually replaces the dirty water with a completely clean cup, but you don't notice it. This young man had probably, every night he did his prayers, he probably doubted it a little bit. And he probably was noticing things in his regular life that didn't jive with this ritual of his. So when his brother did say, "You still doing that?" he dropped it because it was time for him to drop it. It was perfect timing. Back to me in the bed thinking about this baby of mine. I know for a fact I didn't just go, dun 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 dun, over the crevasse comes the guy to save, or the energy to save myself. No. I'm certain that every little time somebody disappointed me during this long 9 months, which felt like years pregnancy, I got a little stronger and a little stronger. And I was going to my spiritual meetings, and I was listening to the minister talk, and I was doing my readings and listening to music. And these things, drop by drop by drop, replace that dirty cup of water with a clear, sentient way forward for me. And that one last drop was like, nope, not having it. I'm doing it my way. Get in or get out. Get in where you fit in. This is what I'm doing. And with that change in consciousness, I've never gone back to that poor me, which I had been there for a minute. Once I was done with it, I was done. And there was no going back. And guess who came crawling back? And let's fly to Europe and I'll propose to you. Nope, too late. Well, okay, I said yes, but then I ended up. Because I didn't want to embarrass the guy. But that's a long story. We'll have a talk over coffee. The point is, it was immediate in its culmination, in the accumulation of the energy. And so what I want to say to you is, as we are becoming who we really are, it may feel as if we're always going to be in this horrible place. And we're never going to be at that place until one moment, some small thing will be the final thing that pushes it over and you go, not today. Now, Michelle Obama has a book called Becoming. Have you guys read it? Yeah, there's the story that I love about her. She talks about she's newly married to Barack, and she's got 2 little girls at home, and he's running around being important, doing civil servant stuff, being that guy. And she's cooking dinner for him and setting it on the table and realizing he's not going to be home. So she wraps it up and puts it in the fridge, slightly fuming inside. She sings her children to sleep and bathes them by herself, but they had been a couple. They said they would be there together. So slowly she's starting to resent this man who seems to decide to come home when he's ready. And yeah, you're doing important stuff, but we have 2 girls. And I don't want to be the one to have to do it. It started changing her, and she started feeling a little resentful. And so she realized, as many of us do, that these feelings of resentment, they don't affect the people who you resent. Those people are running around whistling, doo-doo-doo. They have no idea. But inside, we're seething and just like, ah. So who does that hurt? It hurts ourselves. So I don't remember how it came to her, but one of the biggest changes she talks about is, I think it was maybe her mom told her, but you can't pin your happiness on the behavior of someone else. You cannot. You cannot expect someone to come in and save you and make you happy. No, ma'am. And so Michelle was inspired to get a trainer and make her day a day she wanted. She would work out with this trainer. She had goals that were for her well-being and for her unfoldment and for her becoming who she really is. And no longer was she sitting at home waiting for her husband to bring her herself. She took ownership of it and she went out to get it. And oh my goodness, how the demeanor changes when one is in charge of one's own happiness. And so that is also very attractive. And of course, it changed the dynamic. And of course, he stepped up because he didn't even know anything was wrong, which is typical, right? And so we are always in control of what we see. Well, like Tamara said, when we look at the world, it exists because we look. When we look at something mirthful, I don't know why I said mirth. It must be somewhere in the text. I've been reading some old stuff. But when we look at something and we're full of disdain, then that thing we're looking at is tainted with the way we feel. I read a story about a couple who it was a whole book about how everyone is walking around experiencing the world from their internalized point of view. Everyone sees the world from their own selves. Even Reverend Michael says, all of your experiences are the result of your own self-contemplation. You experience yourself in context of everything, right? So here's a couple. The woman in the couple, and I don't know why, but it's probably sexist, but I'm just going to tell it like I read it. The woman sees everybody as benevolent, well-meaning. She sees everybody as well-meaning. She reads well-meaning, good meaning into everything they say, typically. And her husband is the opposite, malevolence. He sees everybody as not meaning well at all, meaning ill for each other, and everything they say is probably got some kind of jibe into it. So they both go to dinner, and they're sitting there having dinner, and a couple tables over is a lady with a hat that's, they didn't really explain the hat. The lady had on a big hat. And so they heard the waiter. One waiter goes over to the machine that does the soda and says to the other waiter, "Oh my God, table 3, did you see that hat?" And so the man says, "See, I told you, they're talking smack about that lady's hat." And the wife said, No. See, I told you, they love her hat. They're talking good, complimentary about the hat. Two people coming from different places see the same experience, see the same exact conversation, and come away with what they want to see. They come away from it with what they tend to see. Because remember, like Tamara said, you don't see it. It's not there if you didn't see it. Because one guy says they're talking about her hat really bad, and the other lady says, no, they're talking about it like it's really good. How do we know? Well, we decide. When we look at things, we decide with our countenance whether that's a good thing, that's a bad thing. And we bring ourselves into every experience. So that kind of takes me back to the first thing we talked about. If we are on this planet and we don't realize who we really are, what if we are all, like I told the story, the myth of the pearl, what if we all are having our experience on this earth and our goal is to go find our pearl, that the truth of who we are, which is the journey we're on. And what if that pearl is somewhere deep in the recesses of some ocean and we have to snatch it out of a dragon's mouth in order to get it? That's who we really are, and we're just on a journey. And when we came to this earth, we forgot that we were the descendants of kings and queens, and we were royalty. We forgot. And when we got here, we started believing the things that show up around us. And when people told us we weren't good enough, we believed them. And then people told us we weren't fat enough, skinny enough, tall enough, short enough. Pick an adjective. You're not enough of it. And then trying to live our lives as if we're worthy when we still believe those thoughts. That's the whole journey right there in a nutshell. It's the thing that made Eckhart Tolle say, I can't live with myself. And then for him to realize, well, wait a second, there's got to be something going on. If there's an I who can't live with myself, then who's that? I want to know that guy. The I, the higher self, that one that I met when I was in the throes of just had enoughness, and I was done, and I knew better. I knew there was something higher going on than what appeared. And I knew that if I continued to rely on those things outside of me to make me happy, that even if I configured it to where I was happy momentarily, then I would spend the rest of my life biting my nails. Because what if those people choose not to be there anymore? It's a no-win situation to put the locus of control outside of me and onto any situation. And so we just pull it on back. This whole joy of becoming is the joy of sitting still and quieting everything around that would have our attention, and just knowing I was put on this planet with everything I needed. It's inside me, just like the oak tree is inside that acorn. My job is to get the conditions right, to sit in so-called soil. And that could be my own countenance, sitting inside myself and just going with it and being quiet. And it could be the way you kind of plant any seed. It needs darkness, and it needs moisture, and it needs conditions. It needs sun, and just making sure that I am in charge of my environment so that it is conducive to me knowing who I really am. And then I get to talk about it to you guys, and then you guys go, yeah, and here's another thing I thought of. And then we grow, just like the forest, where it looks like separate trees are all standing there next to each other. But if you were to go underneath, you'd see that they're all connected with one another. And there's information going back and forth in the soil. And they're informing each other about how all of this works. And then together, right, we create this network of amazing opportunities to grow and be. And nobody says that the oak tree has to be just like the maple tree, and that bush over there is not a good enough bush. No, we need every single type to make God's forest the way it is. And it's why we're here. And when we're doing it, we feel amazing. Life is awesome, and you couldn't get me to walk away if you tried. And that's how you know the truth. Because you turn toward it, it feels right, and there couldn't be any going back, even if you wanted to. And so I hope that something that I said here worked for you. I think I hit all of those things. I had a couple more quotes, but hey, you know what? I feel like it's good. And we'll leave it there. So if you have anything, I'm going to go into a spiritual mind treatment, which is our form of affirmative prayer, where we pray knowing already that what we're praying for is already given. If you have any requests that you'd like me to pray for, I'm happy to do it. Just put it in the chat. But if not, just come on in with me and just close your eyes and just breathe, just knowing that you are right where you are intended to be. You, beautiful soul, are becoming. You're becoming more and more of yourself, as am I. We are all one with the divine power, the one life that has replicated itself throughout the cosmos in many different designs, in many different ways. This life pulsing through us, as us, in us, could never leave us. Even as we make our transition from this body, we know that life continues on in other realms. And we know that life, this life, our life, is the life of God, is the life of the Goddess, is the life of the Universal One. We are never separate from that one, always connected to each other and to the divine. It's living and moving and having its beingness through me, as you, as each of us. And so, since this is true, I also know that the divine is always the highest expression of love, of peace, of beauty. It is always resonant with harmony. And so, as we realize that that's who we are, I know that our bodies respond in harmony. And anything that is unlike the harmony and beauty and the peace and the health and the abundance of the divine, well, anything unlike it, it flees in the energy that we are now cultivating as we move our consciousness higher. Good and better and wonderful things are attracted to us. Anything that is not good for us, it falls away effortlessly because there is no attraction anymore. This is why healing reveals itself, health reveals itself. We know that wholeness reveals itself in any way that we desire, whether it's abundance of monetary things, abundance of friends, family, love, abundance of all kinds, because the universe is not skimpy and God is not cheap. So I just know for each and every one of us that all is well and that all that we desire is right here, right now, ready to express itself. I speak my word for those who are in Kentucky or any one of the states that were hit by such devastating storms. I just know that right here and right now, the spirit of the divine is right there, right where they are. And that the hands of God are coming, are there, are in all of the permutations of first responders and of any care workers. And I know that this devastating thing brings about the generosity in others and how we help each other thrive or survive through such hard times. And as far as family and transitions, I speak my word for Elaine and her family as they grieve the loss of their loved one, Jeff. I know that Jeff is still here, but on a different plane. He has passed from the visible to the invisible. I just know that the family is encompassed by the love and the warmth and the peace that God is. And that even now in such times of grief, I'm just speaking my word that the family finds ways to celebrate Jeff's life, ways to uplift one another, and ways to move forward even better after having known and been family with Jeff. And so for anything else that I haven't mentioned, definitely praying for healing for Kimberly, that every inch of her being, body, mind, and soul, is just resonating with the divine pattern of wholeness, of the truth and the light that is shining through her, healing any dis-ease or anything that's out of harmony with the divine pattern of a vibration of health and wholeness. I know this for Kimberly. I know this for each and every one of us. And so as I sit here in gratitude, I'm grateful that these things that I've prayed for have already begun to come to pass. And I give great thanks that I get to be a witness of it. And so I simply release my word into the law on the wings of angels. Knowing that that work is already done, I simply say, thank you, life. Thank you, God. So it is. Ashe. Amen. And Leah, she's going to sing us out.
Sure, I really appreciate you drawing the lines between your own experience and Harry Potter and Michelle Obama and just keeping it real on all the many levels. It's beautiful how all of our stories resonate with one another. We're all here on the same basic journey. And so this song is called Becoming Me. Who I am today will not be who I am tomorrow, and who I am tomorrow will keep changing every day. All the things I learned might fill my heart with joy or sorrow, and everything I learned might make me want to change my ways. Oh, there is nothing, no thing no one on earth, no one who knows what path their life will take, and no one knows what I will see as I keep becoming me. The family you were raised in does not dictate who you marry. The country you were born in won't decide where you are buried, and all you once believed might leave you stranded on an island where the only way back home is to abandon it as lies, and there is nothing, no thing that ever stays the same. That is the one thing, the one thing that life does guarantee. There is no one on earth, no one who knows what course that life will take. No one knows who I will be as I keep becoming me. Becoming me, I must stay open to the change. Curious and free, and always ready to be rearranged. There is nothing that ever stays the same. That is the one thing life does guarantee. There is no one on earth, no one who knows what course their life will take, and no one knows what I will see as I keep becoming me. Keep becoming me as I keep becoming me. I'm gonna keep becoming. Yay, thank you.
Oh my gosh, guys. Between the message and the music, I am always so inspired. This is why we do this. This is why we come together on Sundays. That is just amazing. I feel like my spiritual battery has just been recharged. Thank you so much. So as you can see on the screen, guys, now it's time to bless the donations that are shared today. At CSL Leesburg, you heard us talk about in our opening video that there's a law of circulation. As we give, so shall we receive. The donations that are shared with our center bless everyone. There's so many ways that you can give. You can find a way that works best for you. Look at the words on the screen or join us on our website and you can click the donation button. So now just take that donation, whether it's physical or whether it's mental, because you got some kind of system going, just place it over your heart and join me in our blessing of our gifts, our affirmation of oneness. The presence of spirit within me blesses everything I touch, tends to heal. Oh, it blesses everyone I meet, tends to heal everything I touch, brings gladness into the life of everyone I contact. Therefore, I am a blessing to myself, to humankind, and to the day in which I live. Repeat after me. I am becoming me. I am becoming me. Love it. So let's check out our announcements. What's going on at CSL Leesburg? If you like what you had today, then join us during the week on Tuesday mornings. Charlene and friends explore their dreams in our dream study, and that's on Tuesdays at 9 o'clock. And on Wednesdays, at the end of our service, we always say that we share our pearls. What were those jewels, those gems that you got from today's service? And then on Wednesday evenings at 7, we meet midweek And, we've been holding those pearls. We've been carrying those around. We've been thinking about the message. And what has just stayed with you? What have you brought into your spiritual practice? Or what new insight from today's message or music did you get? Are you doing the little meditation when you find yourself having moments of stress? So we just get together midweek, we check in, we share, and I guarantee it happens every time you walk away with just some kind of new insight or new information. So join us on Wednesday nights. And I was thinking about this today. So we're on December 12th, guys. That means January is going to be here before you know it. So we have a special class. It's called Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life. I'm teaching it. I cannot wait to lead a class through this and work with adults instead of middle school students. I know we're going to have a lot of learning and a lot of laughs along the way. So go to our website and look for the class and join me in January. It'll be 5 Saturdays, and what a great way to kick off the new year. So here we are as we end this sacred time together. Let us just once again place our hands over our hearts and just think back to that message of the joy of becoming, how you are becoming you. You can say, I am becoming me, and your day, your life, your year, it can be anything that you want it to be. It all starts with a wonderful spark within you. So join me as I say, and you know what I want. Turn on your mics. I want to hear you. I am love.
I am love.
I am
I
love.
am love.
So much. Now, just look at someone who's with you or someone who is looking back at you on your screen, or maybe a furry someone who's in the room with you, or just anyone that you want to, and imagine just saying to them, you are love.
You are love.
You are love.
And now put your hands up in the air and join me as we have our love sprinkles. And remember, it's all love.
All
Love.
love.
All love. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a blessed week and keep the joy just coming. Keep that joy in your